Hey kids, it's John and Caleb here with Rokblokz, where
Or adults, possibly, if you're a...
I'm old, so everyone's a kid for me.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
I don't know. These toys are big boy toys.
These are big boy toys. We took the Maverick R and the Pro R out. Good Lord, fucking flies. And we did just sand dune riding, had a great time. We're fortunate enough to get to ride a lot of different machines and play with them in rock crawling and sand dunes and trails and the whole bit. So we're going to do a series of videos kind of talking about the different machines and what they're sort of good at from our perspective. And we put a lot of seat time in, two of us, so we figured we would sort of rate these machines on different components.
Different components, how they act, how they feel from the driver's seat. How many R's they can fit in the name.
Let's start with suspension. I think that's one of my favorite things on these off-road types of machines. Between
these two, we started the day out. I started in the Pro R, and John started out in the Maverick, and we kind of ripped around for a bit, kind of going around Sand Mountain and just getting a feel for the machines. Normally, I'm piloting a good old Turbo S, and it has the dynamics similar to this one, and well, the extra width is definitely noticeable on ours. We've only got light upgrades to this one here with just some HCR arms and a light respringing, so nothing crazy to kind of kick it out. So it's very even with that. It's
pretty stock for stock.
Yeah. Other than, if you count springs as being just over the top different, then maybe you'd get a difference out of it. But what I had noticed right out the rip is that thing, it handles really, really well. It does feel kind of top heavy-ish, but I think that's just sort of a Polaris thing with where you're sitting and all those.
They kind of all have. And I think they are a little more tippy because we've had the old X3 versus the old, the Turbo S.
Yeah.
Was the X3, you could really rally. In fact, we had a drift stick in it and we would play around the parking lot. And I never felt uncomfortable doing that. But the Turbo S, I almost tipped a handful of times.
Yeah.
Not drifting.
Go back in our videos, you'll see it. It's pretty great.
Yeah. That was pretty fun. So, so I started in the Maverick R. Now, I will say, I was surprised. I feel like in the whoops, dude, it just floats through them. Like it's, you're just like, oh, that was really smooth. And you look down and you're like, holy crap, I'm going really fast.
Yeah, seeing some of the footage, I was like, wow. It's just looks like it's just kind of crawling over it, but the car's just staying.
In the whoops, it was amazing. The stability-wise, turning and drifting around stuff or whatever, and even side hilling and turning, it feels awesome in the Maverick. It's so freaking wide, and it does feel low, and feels like the center of gravity is really low on it. So that all felt really good to me. The G-outs and the transitions, specifically at the sand dunes where you're coming off a hill and you're, or you're hitting a hill going up fast, we bottomed a lot.
Yeah.
Easily.
After driving that earlier in the day, I mean, I'm sure you were pressing it a little bit, but I was unintimidated by that because we'd been driving all day and I hadn't noticed it in the Pro. And then I get in that and I was just doing the same type of thing, same amount of speed, and you feel the bottom. You're like, whoa, I gotta adjust the way that I'm doing this. So.
And that was in Sport Plus, which is the firmest, most aggressive mode on all the settings in the Maverick, and it's still.
I guess that's worth noting is that because I'm not used to all the switches in here, and it was literally my first time driving the Pro R in any capacity other than just around the shop. I didn't know where the settings were, and so I was in comfort the whole time.
That's true.
So,
it was comfortable, all, did you?
Mm-mm.
No, and he does tend to drive a little more aggressively than I do. So, how did you feel in the whoops with the two different machines?
About the same, really. I mean, they both really, really work. Whatever this new suspension, this new fandangled suspension they got with on this one, it felt very stable. Like both of them were really good in that aspect.
chucking it into a corner.
Yeah, I like how low, like the center of gravity just feels lower, and so you feel a little more confidence inspiring.
Yeah.
This one, when we were doing kind of the figure eight stuff on the weird transition section, for me, you have to be really careful. You have to make sure that your wheel speed stays up, because if you get side bite, then it kind of tends to catch in that sand, and that gets a little sketchy real quick. So you have to make sure that you're sending it. Otherwise, if you slow down, the car and the weight's going to shift and do weird stuff.
Yeah.
So
I agree. So, okay. So stock for stock, if you gave it a number, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best.
if we're going for all the things within suspension, kind of the do it all, they're easily both 4.5 for me. They're both solid machines. Like, you can't, like, compared to some of the older RZRs and the way that they perform and how it kind of, when you're doing the whoops, you kind of get like a crab walking feeling, especially with the shorter two-seater one. It kind of feels like it wants to wash out from you. They both felt super planted, so that would be kind of where I would rate them.
I'm gonna go 4.5 on the Pro R, and I'm gonna give the Maverick R just a 4 for right now, because I feel it needs springs. The way we drive, and if you're going to the sand dunes, transitions are gnarly. Like, you can hit stuff hard and easily, and I hate bottoming out. It's like one of the worst feelings in the world for me. So even having said that, knowing that it's soft, I'm sure there's things we can do. We might play with the preload a little bit and see if we can put some more poundage in there that way. We'll definitely send the shocks off to somebody to respring them and revalve them and call it a day, and then it'll be incredible. So I'm gonna go with a 4 for now, but I think once that's dialed, I would probably put this a half a point above the Pro R. So we'll probably give it a 5 later down the road. We'll see how that goes. Power on the two. So Pro R has the 2-liter 4-cylinder NA motor, and this guy has it's basically the same motor as the last one, the triple cylinder 1000cc turboed, but it does make, what is it, 245?
I'm not exactly sure on the specs.
I don't remember. We'll have to look that up.
Yeah.
And this one's like 220, but it's NA, so it doesn't make as much power at elevation as a turboed motor does. So there's that kind of thing. And then the main, I guess it's sort of, we're going to do power and transmission at the same time because they're kind of relevant to each other, obviously. Belt driven versus dual clutch, shifting and shiftable transmission. I'm going to start this one off. I like the transmission. Number 1, I like not having a belt to worry about. Number 2, I like the transmission. But it's really different feeling, and especially in the sand dunes when you really don't want to be shifting. You want you kind of want to be in your power band all the time, where having a rubber band motor does that for you. Or transmission, it keeps it in the power band all the time. But I think once you get used to the shifting in this, and I haven't played a ton with shifting it myself, I've mostly let the computer do it, and it does do a pretty good job. But I think it's just different. It feels weird. Yeah,
I was pretty lazy. I just left it in auto. The only gripes that I had with it were when it comes online and that motor's like, you're in it and the boost is there and everything comes online, and then it finally finds that gear, like when it'll like dip, and then it's like it pulls, and sometimes it kind of felt unpredictable. It was like, okay, whoa, where'd that come from? I didn't modulate the throttle more. It just picked up and kicked. And so it wasn't like super dramatic, but I could definitely notice it in the fine points of when I was trying to finesse it just a little, and then it would come online. It almost feels as though it could upset the car a little bit if you were like driving
in a sketchy spot and something. 100%.
If you can find all the settings, they're pretty good. But for me, when it comes to it, it feels like all the other Polarises, that nice kind of smooth, the way that the motor feels in this. I didn't really notice much of a difference over the 2-seater turbos. Like, they don't really feel peaky. This just feels good. The only other thing that I noticed at that point when it comes to the power plant is that one screams at you and this one serenades you with beautiful blow-off noises. And that's about it. Like, that just sounds like a pissed off 4-cylinder Honda just screaming the whole time.
Which is fun,
Yeah.
but like even wearing a helmet, we had helmets on out there, and it was still so like it was uncomfortably loud. If I did it again, I'd do earplugs inside the helmet. Even like it was uncomfortably loud. But yeah, I'll agree with you. Power-wise, other than those things, power felt great in both machines. I do think, I mean, this ripped up the face a little quicker than the Pro R did.
Yep. That probably due to solid gears.
Yeah.
And I think the belt was a little warm that day. Stock power, this is more than enough to get out there, have some momentum, have a lot of fun, throw it around the dunes.
I think both of these machines have plenty of power. So I'm going to give both these machines 4.5 in the power department.
Just because I don't want room to grow, I'm going to give them both. I'm going to give them both 4s. We need more stock power. You know, I need Dodge to make a side-by-side.
Okay.
And just give me Hellcat levels of power just right out the rip.
Build quality. This is something we're always complaining about, kind of, because these are not cheap machines. These are both top-tier machines, and even in stock form, like Pro R has a cage and doors and the HCR stuff, so it's extra expensive. But even in stock form, these are, well, you guys can see the MSRPs out there. Like, they're expensive, really expensive. And when the build quality, we did 10 miles in this, me and Rocco, our camera guy, 10 miles in this, and like one of the hood panels just popped off. Caleb made a pretty cool fix for it, but we shouldn't be fixing these things right off the bat. It's embarrassing. You look at some of the powder coating on this, and you can see straight through it. They did like barely one coat. Like it's embarrassing. And Polaris, sorry, they're not much better. I mean, we're constantly joking about the build tolerance in these machines for how expensive they are. Now, you know, I get it. The performance is amazing. So they work awesome. The suspension is good. The power is good. Like they're obviously putting all the money into that. But at the same time, I don't know. I think build quality on both machines, they have their pros and cons, but overall, kind of disappointing. Yeah.
Build quality is a hard one just because, you know, when I was originally doing the flares on this one, it seems as though they ran out of the small bolts that attached it. And so one of your bolts was like 4 times the length, and it was just holding the fender on. So it wasn't the same, like both those ones on that side were like 1 inch, and one on this side was 1 inch, and the other one was just like stupid long, 2.5 inches or something. I was like, wow. It was just like they ran out and grabbed whatever they could. The only other thing that I'm impressed with is kind of the step up with this generation of side-by-side with the automotive style and automotive grade interiors that they're trying to kind of push.
Yeah.
And like, they're really cozy, like all the features and everything else that they're putting into all of them. Like
the screens and the integration
with the exception of the Polaris still gets super hot in the cab for no reason.
That is true. Yeah. That is true. Like brutally hot.
You need AC in that thing, with if nothing else, just to keep your legs from catching on fire.
Build quality, I'm gonna give them both. I'm gonna give them a 3. Like there's some parts about them that are incredible, and then there's other parts about them that are just embarrassing.
Yeah, I'll do just a little bit. I'm gonna give them a 3.2. just a smidge over, because I know that when we go back into some of the other machines and we give them some of these, we might not be as nice. So.
Favorite thing about the Maverick R for me is the transmission and the lack of a belt. Least favorite thing is the concern that I don't think it's going to be a good rock crawler. I'm concerned about that. I wouldn't be anywhere near as comfortable trying to rock crawl in the Maverick as I am in a RZR. Favorite thing about the Pro R, geez, I don't have a single favorite thing about it. It's really good at everything.
Yeah.
But my least favorite thing would be probably the engine noise. I think that I can do more workarounds with the heat issue.
Yeah.
But the engine noise, it is. I'm too old for that shit. It is loud.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. My favorite thing about the Maverick is the engine noise. My least favorite thing about the Maverick is
What's the least favorite?
That's not really a bad thing. My least favorite is there's a lot of buttons. Favorite thing about this one right now as it sits would just be sort of its attitude and how comfortable it feels.
All right, so we're going to keep doing this with more stuff. The way our business world works, we often have access to a lot of cool UTVs, cars, trucks, like all of it. So if there's something that you guys might find interesting, let us know. We'll see if we can get some and get some seat time in it and tell you our flawed opinions on it.
Yeah. And this was just our sand dune stuff. So maybe we'll take these back out, get some desert running,
Ooh.
or even some climbing. You let us know in the comments.
Sounds fun.